In this video, we're going to insert doors and windows into our modeled home. I'm going to introduce you to the design center and understanding what blocks are. To begin, like we did with the condo last time, let's copy this to a separate location, preset distance away, let's say 170 feet. And now that we have all of the information and data over here, we can edit this one as essentially a new drawing. We don't really need dimensions on this model because we'll be only using the walls for our modeling. So one way to turn off a specific layer is to freeze it. Of course, you need to make sure that that's not the layer that's currently selected. We'll switch to door, and then we can turn off dimension. Now, turning it off doesn't erase it, it just makes it so it's not visible. And if you see we move over here, it's also not visible on this model. This will make it a lot easier to be able to insert our doors and windows without locking to endpoints within the dimensions. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you the Design Center. Under the View tab, it's under the Palettes palette, Design Center. We can type the command Add Center to open it up. I'm already located in the file that I need to be able to find the Design Center blocks. But in order for you to find them, you'll need to go into Program Files, Autodesk, AutoCAD, the Sample folder, NUS or English US, then we have Design Center and Dynamic Blocks. These sample Design Center blocks are extremely helpful to model out the interior and exterior of our home without having to remake or make new objects and models. Because we only want doors and windows right now, go ahead and enter House Designer and click on Blocks. As you can see, there's a number of different top elevation and side elevation blocks that can be inserted into our model. Because right now we're only doing top elevation, go ahead and select a left-hung door. Specify your insertion point, which can be anywhere on the model space that you can see it easily. And we now have a door block. We can do the same thing for a right-hung, as well as window frames. We'll come back to these sample Design Center blocks later when we're modeling the interior of our house. Let's go into Dynamic Blocks. And we can see that there's also a dynamic door and dynamic window block. And we can import these as well. Now that we have our doors and windows, go ahead and close the Design Center. Let's set our windows on the actual window layer. Blocks are simply models that were previously created that could be copy and pasted into different scenarios. The right hung and left hung door blocks we inserted are simply two lines with an arc to represent the door. We can explode these blocks individually to show the pieces that comprise it. Dynamic blocks are blocks that are created with multiple options and variations preset and adjusted with the handles on the block. For example, with this door, we can choose to represent it opened at different angles. We can also adjust its size. We can flip it about the x-axis and the y-axis, creating both left and right hung doors. And finally, we can change the width of the wall that it will be sitting on. Dynamic blocks are extremely helpful to be able to copy and paste a single block type and simply adjust it at each individual position on your model. Later, we'll create blocks to understand how they're made and better understand how to use them. And we'll make a dynamic block to be able to insert furniture into our home. For our home, we're going to go ahead and use the dynamic blocks because they're much simpler to use. All of the door openings that we've created within our home are 3 feet wide. The exterior doors will rest on 6-inch walls, and the interior doors will rest on 4-inch walls. You can simply Control and C to copy this dynamic block for the door and paste it in at specific points within your model. We'll do one for the front door, two for the back door, and it's okay if they're not perfectly aligned when you're copying and inserting them in, especially with dynamic blocks, because we can simply grab the handles and change direction. We'll do the bedroom, bathroom, master bedroom, master bathroom, and the master closet. It's standard for doors facing the exterior to swing inward into the house, and doors that are within hallways to swing into the room. So let's make sure to switch all of these doors so that they're facing the proper direction. These doors, not on the X-plane, but on the Y-plane, need to be rotated in order to fit. All of these interior doors we've just placed need to be adjusted to be 4 inches, and you may need to reposition them afterwards. Again, the 4 inches represents the thickness of the wall that the door is resting on. Doors should swing towards the wall that it's closest to. That may not always be the case, but is a great general rule of thumb. Finally, we're going to use this dynamic door in a different way. I've purposely left off the openings to the washer and dryer, the bedroom closet, and this hallway closet here, because I want to represent them with a pocket door. We'll center them in this area and choose to leave the door closed. Pocket doors are doors that, instead of swinging out away from the wall, remain within the wall and slide through it. In addition to representing this with a closed door, we're going to copy and rotate to show the distance the door will go in to the pocket. We'll do this as well for this hallway door here. Pocket doors are extremely helpful to save space, especially in tight areas where there's other doors. In the bedroom with its closet door, we'll simply use 2 sliding doors. Now we have all of our doors inserted into our home. Now let's put some windows in. We're going to use a standard 3-foot window size for all of our windows in our house, except for the bathrooms, in which case we'll use 2-foot windows. Much like we did with the doors, go ahead and copy this block and use Ctrl V to paste it at different places into the model. Additionally, because all of the windows will be on the exterior wall, let's make sure they're at 6 inches. Remember, we can rotate these later, so they don't need to be aligned correctly with the wall. We'll rotate these windows that were not aligned to the wall. We'll adjust the window sizes in the bathrooms to be just 2 feet. Now I've placed all of my windows in kind of a uniform fashion at intervals around the house. Generally speaking, they should be placed at specific locations and dimensioned accordingly. We'll go ahead and turn dimensions back on and dimension the center of our windows. We'll dimension these 2-foot windows because they vary from the other ones As you can tell, I wasn't very careful with where I placed my windows, and so they're not at very even intervals throughout the model. This really won't be a big issue for us, but just understand that how you model the home is how it's built. And if builders are expected to maintain 7/8 of an inch to the center of this window, plans can become messy and it can be difficult to maintain the accuracy placed. And there you have it. We've placed our doors and windows for our home using dynamic blocks, and I've introduced you to some of the principles of blocks. Next time, we'll create our own blocks to be able to create electrical symbols for an electrical plan.